Battle Through the Heavens, Grand World. Chapter 179 News. In the nick of time, the old man's reaction wasn't slow at all. He used his free hand to block in front of him. At the same time, he tried his best to dodge Xiao Yan's attack with his head. Dong! At such a close distance, the Thousand Illusion Dragon kick didn't display its true power. Adding the old man's timely protection, the kick only made him stagger a few steps back. When Xiao Yan saw this, he did not hesitate at all and charged forward once again. With the origin monarch ki that filled his body, every attack he made was extremely powerful. The Sky Spill Fist and Thousand Illusion Dragon Leg, these two monarch spell skills, were casually picked up by Xiao Yan. With the help of the monarch flames, each attack was extremely fierce, causing the old man to be in a sorry state. He was frantically enduring Xiao Yan's attacks, and his heart was filled with anger. Arg! When his fist collided with Xiao Yan's, the old man immediately felt a heart-burning pain spread from his fist to his entire body. He couldn't help but let out a miserable cry. His arms suddenly felt weak, and his reaction slowed down. His chest was hit by Xiao Yan's fist, which had gathered all the energy in his body. All of a sudden, the qi and blood in his body rolled, and he couldn't help but spurt out a mouthful of old blood. The old man managed to stabilize his body, and when he saw Xiao Yan rushing towards him once again, his face turned pale, and he let out a crazy roar in his heart. Qi Sha Spear. Without caring about the pain on his body, the old man suddenly stretched out both of his hands. The origin monarch ki on his arms began to surge. Due to the huge amount of energy, the blood vessels on his arms began to expand, making him look extremely ferocious. In an instant, two sharp spears rapidly formed in his hands. As he waved the spears, a few afterimages even appeared in the air. "Bastard, try this attack of mine." The old man gritted his teeth and waved his arms. The two spears carried a shocking amount of energy and flew out of his hands towards Xiao Yan, who was charging towards him. Wherever the spears passed, sonic booms could be heard. The moment the spears left his hands, the old man seemed to have lost all his strength, and his face lost all color. Xiao Yan was slightly startled. With the help of his soul energy, he could sense that the energy contained in these two spears was much stronger than any monarch skill he had seen before. It even made his heart palpitate. In the blink of an eye, the spears had arrived in front of Xiao Yan. The powerful energy caused the origin monarch ki around his body to become chaotic. The sound of rushing wind entered Xiao Yan's ears. Buzz! Even though he felt the huge energy on the spears, Xiao Yan gritted his teeth and did not dodge. He stretched out both of his hands and firmly grabbed the tip of the two spears. The tip of the spears was only a few inches away from his face. The cold light on the spears made Xiao Yan's face turn cold. Buzz buzz. The spears in his hands kept buzzing, as if they were going to leave his hands at any moment. Veins popped out on Xiao Yan's tightly clenched hands. Countless origin monarch ki flowed into his arms through his meridians and into his palms, constantly wearing down the huge energy coming from the spears. Although it seemed like a stalemate, Xiao Yan's body was pushed back by the huge energy coming from the spears. He could not help but slowly step back. Who? The hunchbacked old man had almost lost all of his strength. The origin monarch ki in his body had been exhausted due to this attack. Both of his eyes were red as he looked at Xiao Yan, who was in a deadlock with the spear. When he saw Xiao Yan being forced to retreat, he could not help but reveal a ferocious smile on his face. Boom! Suddenly, flames shot out from Xiao Yan's body. Within the flames, Xiao Yan looked like a god. With a roar, the two spears exploded, sending up a large amount of sand, causing the old man's ferocious smile to freeze on his face. In the next moment, a flaming figure rushed out from the sand. When the elder came back to his senses, the figure had already arrived in front of him. The old man, who had exhausted all his origin monarch ki, had no strength to dodge. In a panic, he could only raise his arms to block Xiao Yan's attack. Crack! A clear sound of bones breaking could be heard. The pale face of the old man instantly turned purple-red because of the intense pain. The tremendous pain was like a dizziness that stimulated his entire body. His body couldn't help but fly backwards and hit a huge rock behind him. He powerlessly fell to the ground. His body kept spasming, and he kept spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. Xiao Yan wiped the blood from his mouth, then he looked at the old man in front of him with an expressionless face. The burning flames around his body had quietly dissipated, and his vast ki had also slowly decreased. He had once again regained the strength of a monarch spirit. Although he had experienced the true strength of his attack this time, the price he had to pay wasn't small either. The side effects of using the secret technique were immediately shown. The meridians in his body twitched as if they were twitching, bringing along the pain of his entire body falling apart. Xiao Yan couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Seeing that Xiao Yan had taken care of the old man, the Xiao's expression suddenly changed. The sudden strike caused the middle-aged man who had witnessed the old man being defeated by Xiao Yan to instantly fly backwards. Just like the previous middle-aged man, he completely fainted. The old man used all his strength to open his eyes wide. He looked at Xiao Yan, who was walking towards him, and a trace of fear quickly surged into his mind. He had been in the Black Sand Castle for many years, but he had actually lost to a monarch spirit. At the same time, he was filled with fear. Don't kill me. The old man, who was lying on the ground, looked at Xiao Yan, who was squatting beside him. His heart trembled as he struggled to speak. His eyes were filled with fear, and he was no longer as calm as before. Even though he had survived in this ferocious place where he could eat people without spitting out their bones, he still managed to survive. It was also everyone's dream. Xiao Yan coldly looked at the old man. He pondered for a moment before he suddenly smiled and said, "If you want to live, it will depend on your performance. Let's see if there is anything that interests me. Otherwise, I would like to see how it feels to kill an emperor." Seeing Xiao Yan's smiling expression, the old man's heart trembled violently. Then, his eyes sparkled. After a long time, he gritted his teeth and said, "Kid, you keep your word." Xiao Yan raised his eyebrows. He was just casually asking. This guy who was looking at things actually had the intention to steal the Xiao. He had to kill him no matter what. Now that he heard what he said, Xiao Yan's heart moved. He said ambiguously, "Tell me about it." The old man pondered for a moment. He waited until some of the origin monarch key in. His body had recovered before saying in a deep voice, "I can provide you with a way to obtain the treasure." It is said that the treasure was left behind by an emperor cultivation expert. The treasure of an emperor cultivation warrior. Xiao Yan frowned. He looked at the old man again and said, "Make it clear, don't let me say it a second time." The old man's facial expression changed, but he still said, "About 100 miles away from here, there is a Black Sand Castle. There is a black-scale mercenary group in the castle. I am the second commander of the mercenary corps. A few months ago, a mysterious treasure map was found in the underground auction hall of the castle. After some research, it was confirmed that the treasure was in this region. However, the strength of the auction house was not enough to open it. Opening the formation of the ruins required 5 monarch emperor warriors and 5 mid-rank heavenly corps. Therefore, after careful consideration, they joined forces with all the forces in Black Sand Castle. I've only gathered 5 monarch emperors. In order to gather all the heavenly cores, I went out to hunt spirit beasts to obtain the spirit cores, and then went to other castles to buy heavenly cores. As for the specifics, this is it." After the old man finished speaking, he panted heavily. The intense pain that came from his body gave him a splitting headache. Xiao Yan pondered for a moment, then slowly said, "How many heavenly cores have you gathered?" The old man took a deep breath and said, 4. I only need 1 fire element heavenly core. Chapter end. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.